Content Catchup.
So what we're going to do today is we're just going to have a look back at, we've got 3 or 4 teams that have produced some pretty cool grand final content, and we just want to go back and have a look at it. Bucks, I think, do you want to start with AFL maybe? That's a bit of our bread and butter.
I think so.
Probably know the most about it. We had Richmond and Geelong go head-to-head in what was a good grand final for 3 quarters and terrible for 1 because Richmond won. But what did you think of the content?
I thought it was good. We can start with the Cats. I think the main thing I took from the Geelong was I'm a fan of their Instagram stories. I think they've nailed sort of, I don't know if you've noticed, but you know how some teams do the bar down the bottom of sort of the progress? So like pre-game, Q1, Q2. That's something I really liked. And then I guess because they lost, unfortunately, for Cats fans out there, their main thing was just sending off Gary Ablett in the right way. So I think they did well with that sort of stuff. I saw a post before the game. I think it was, I've got in my notes, 6, 7, 8, 3 days since Gary Ablett debuted, and then 1 more day to witness history, and then they had a nice little farewell afterwards. Did you see anything from the Cats you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, I agree with the Gary Ablett stuff, and I think I'll touch on that a little bit later as well when we talk about Richmond. But the other thing I really thought that Geelong did a good job of was uniting their fans with a lot of the content. Throughout their feed, there was plenty of pictures from Geelong fans, whether they be in Geelong or around Australia or around the world. They just collated a whole bunch of it, and I feel like it created like a big sense of community that probably... It probably resulted in like fans that couldn't be in the game realizing that they weren't the only ones. I think probably important at that stage of where no one could get together and enjoy the grand final, but just letting everyone know that they've got such a wide supporter base that, you know, for 1 year where the Victorians couldn't get to the grand final, there's all these other people that might never get to a grand final. I thought that was a really good point. Interestingly, they didn't, or unless I'm getting this wrong, but I don't think they did like a pre-game hype video.
Yeah, I think I can't
memory.
recall. Yeah, I can't recall seeing one, but that's a good shout about there. I do remember seeing a lot of random sort of spots Geelong scarves are in, and they seem to do a really good job of compiling it all. But yeah, hype reels, I don't know. They might have done like an Instagram story one. You know, some teams do that.
Yeah, maybe they did an Insta story one. Richmond, I feel, went pretty conservative with their hype reel. A lot of shots of Dusty, and I mean, why wouldn't use him? He's a star, but like just nothing that really told the story of the year and the lead up to that point. That's my opinion. I thought they could have done a little bit more with it.
No, I agree. I didn't. I think I agree that they could have probably incorporated a bit more of the whole story of the year. But Richmond as a whole, for me, Jules, I think I actually related them to the Lakers. I think they did everything very well, a lot of content, and as we said, why the hell not pump it out? Yeah. A lot of photos, a lot of great snaps of post-game, obviously. Videos of in the moment from the iPhone. From the iPhone. New
Did they
invention.
put it on the Facebook?
get around it. iPhone's the new best thing. No, I thought there were a lot of content in it. Again, I still didn't see any videographer footage.
It's interesting you say that. I don't think I did either. You're right. The photos after the game were amazing. There were some really cool ones, and then they kept the content coming with like I saw some nice Polaroids pop up on there.
Yes, yeah, I like that.
Insta as well. I don't know. Maybe they're working on something more.
I guess it's probably wise to touch on the restrictions of what they are allowed to do. So maybe they weren't allowed to. But one thing I noticed, you know, the tradition of I think they did it last year as well. Once the fans are all gone, the players and coaching staff and all the staff get back on the oval and sing the song again. But they're typically in like normal clothes. They probably got their Guernseys over there, normal clothes. But surely that would be a great opportunity if you were allowed to get the video out there, because the scenes are very cool. There's no fans. It's all night. Yeah. And I think there was a photo of it. But something like that, I think would be really cool to get the videographer in there and make a little bit of a, I don't know, access piece.
maybe it's again, we don't know. Maybe it's coming later, and I think it's actually a lot harder to do grand final content than you and I probably understand, because you've got all this great stuff, but you've got still weeks that you can get it out, because it doesn't all need to come out at that one moment. And I think Richmond and even Melbourne Storm have done this really good job of like disseminating content after the grand final to keep people excited about it or keep people celebrating it. So could be similar to the Lakers. Maybe there's something still in the works and on its way. They jumped pretty quickly into their best and fairest as well, so maybe they turn the focus to that, and then they'll head on to grand final content.
I think that's a fair shout. Two more shouts. Did you notice Richmond's? It's probably a shout out to the whole organisation. Their little touches of not wearing the medals while
wearing the medal.
Gaza tribute. Yeah. So they purposely didn't. Purposely, they purposely made a point. I heard Jack Revolt talking about it, but he said that none of the players wore their medals while Gary Ablett walked off, which was really nice. And I think that the idea sort of came from, if Jack Revolt if what I remember he said is correct, that Dusty not wearing his Norm Smith, or it's 3 Norm Smiths around his teammates in the song and like presses, he makes a point not to wear it, which is very cool. So good stuff.
Yeah, I really like that as a whole. I love the fact that they stopped their celebrations completely to just walk Gary off and allow that moment to happen for someone who's been a champion of the game. Yeah. You can hate Richmond a lot, but then they do something like that, and you're like, oh, actually, like that's a real touching gesture, I guess. Yeah. I mean, imagine that, like interrupting your own happiness just to do something like that. I think it was just great. It's
probably a bit of a story of the year in a way. Like, I think the whole AFL and every sport has been very good at stopping and paying tribute to what's actually important. Like the champion of the game, one of the best to ever play, in the moment, they've all got that respect to be like, nah, we'll stop, give him his moment, and then carry on. Yeah, absolutely. One last thing from this, unless you've got a lot more, but the Jack Riewoldt dreams reel with Tom Lynch. Yeah. Thoughts? Love it. Perfect sort of 2020 content, yeah. And I think a lot of people picked it up, like reposted
I think I was not a fan of it to start with.
Why not?
But it grew on me. I don't know, it just pissed me off.
Arrogance again?
Yeah, a little bit of arrogance, but like also the fact that they were drinking beers while they were driving a golf cart. But that's just like stupid when you think about it.
As in you're surprised they were allowed to post it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm being too sensitive. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably, again, put yourself in the position, and if one of your players did that, if you didn't post it, you'd be like you're not doing your job in a way. Like that's
It's so true, and it's a great bit of content. It's like it's almost, it's not a flex, but it's kind of a flex in a way.
It is, like, but it's warranted in a way. Oh, and one more thing on the AFL. Can people stop whinging? I'm sick of hearing people whinge about everything. No, really, like it's the time of the game, how much it's raining.
Oh my God. The pre-match entertainment.
Yeah, but in retrospective of the whole year, who the hell cares?
That one. I actually liked the night grand final. I thought it added to the spectacle of it all.
Yeah, I honestly could give two shits. I don't really care about like it's about the game of footy in the end. Like it's not about, for me anyway.
It's just footy, mate.
Just footy. Anyway, let's move on to the other footy. Storm.
You want to talk about Storm, or you want to go Vixens first?
Panthers. Oh no, let's go Vixens.
Let's go Vixens first. The other Melbourne team. So they had their grand final, I think, the week before the AFL.
Yes.
Vixens got up. I thought similar to what I saw with Geelong, they did a really good job of getting a lot of external figures to share messages and really drive the cause that way. So they had like Jane Bunn from Channel 7, Tom Hawkins, Jonathan Brown. I think they had like Matt Preston from MasterChef or whatever the fuck that guy is on now.
Yeah. I saw the Hosking twins as well.
Yeah. Anthony McDonald Tipperwoody from Essendon is like an ambassador as well. I don't know. I think it must be a tougher gig trying to get people excited about netball, and I mean that with no disrespect, but I think like that's an honest kind of. I don't know. Am I being a dick here? Like,
no, I mean that you could hear that and be like, "Geez, this guy's a twat." No, but I think we've got to understand that unless I don't know you too well, Jules, but none of us are too heavily into our netball, so it's sort of hard to talk about something we don't have a clue about.
Correct.
But from what we see externally, I agree. I think they did a good job. One thing I noticed, I think they must have just gone straight into an Instagram live on the court. I don't know if you saw that, but it ended up being a 12-minute video, and sure, it might be a bit long, but I think for something like that where obviously their normal fans they couldn't have been there because it was, where was it? Was it in Queensland again?
It's in Queensland as well, yeah.
Yeah, so they obviously did the IG live, I think they must have given it to a couple of players to sort of talk to other players and just see the raw emotion. I think there were a few tears. Everyone loves tears. Ended up being a 12-minute video, and they just reposted it as a IGTV, and I think that hit around 18,000 views. So that was something I think is worthwhile. Might be a bit long for some people, but I liked it.
I think that's a good point with their Instagram live, because I think what the Vixens did a really good job of was just doing, getting that excitement going in the really most simple way, and like I think it goes to show with a grand final you don't have to do something like grand all the time. You just have to do the small things well, and capturing the excitement of the players was probably enough, because they looked so excited on the court. Like the coach's reaction after the game as well, where she was just jumping around, hugging all the players. Like I think that's more powerful than well-produced graphics or like this epic video after. And yeah, I don't know. I think 12 minutes of Instagram live of pure raw emotion where the players are just so ecstatic. It's probably a real tick.
Absolutely, tick that box. And it's good to, that's a very simple, easy thing to do to get to know the personality of the players. See them at
absolutely.
See them at the highest point of, I guess, a lot of their careers, and, see how they react. See the human inside them. That's what we all love.
Absolutely. All right, Bucks. We're on to the
Storm.
The final. Storm over the Panthers.
Yes. I would like to give a general shout out to... General
shout out.
No, we can't copy that. Everything I see of the Storm is very slick. Visual animation especially. Graphic design. They don't over-tweet, which... I've given you the hint. We'll go into that a bit more soon, but...
Here we go.
No, it's a good discussion point. I want to put it to bed.
It's a great discussion point.
Yeah, but everything I see them do... I don't have anything specific that I have jotted down, but their visual animations on Twitter and everything, very slick. Very slick. What are your thoughts on their work?
I couldn't agree more. I think the Storm are just like a well-oiled organisation... like media-wise at least, and obviously on the field, but like everything they do has some sort of purpose. Like it's they don't overshare and they don't undershare. They've got this really good balance of just posting when there's something to talk about, I feel like.
Not forcing anything.
The
editing is very slick as well. I don't know the guy's name is, I think Darcy. He's very, very good with whatever I say. His editing is very slick, so they tick all the boxes.
And if we're talking about like a basic for what I think would be a basic for a grand final, like that pre-game hype, I think the Storms was perfect. Like it told the story of the year. It used this really haunting like track underneath that was, that na 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 song.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and it just sounded like an empty arena singing that.
Yeah.
But then they had all the highlights from like going into the bubble, the matches, empty crowds, like stuff back home. I don't know. I thought like if you're gonna put one video out, that's the one that you put out. A+.
Yeah, no, I agree.
A++.
I know the video you're talking about, and it was very professional, and again, wasn't trying to overdo anything. It was telling the story of what happened to the year and exactly what the purpose is, hyping you up for the game.
If we keep going back to that as well, like everything having a purpose, they didn't rush getting out any content after the game. Like, obviously the story was busy with stuff from the field, but if you look at their Instagram, they took their time to find like the photo that they wanted, the video that they wanted, and they even went even further to produce specific types of content. Like, they did reels in the middle of a grand final, and you're thinking that would be the furthest thing away from my mind in the grand final. Like, go back and produce a reel. But they did it, and they waited until they had the content that they wanted. Like, they rather than put all of Cam Smith's chat up, his post grand final speech, they took the one snippet about Victorians and used that. And I'm thinking that's all that they know, that like Victorians aren't the biggest rugby fans, so they don't need to hear all the other shit that's going on. They just need to hear that one bit that makes them feel like Melbourne is their team.
That's a great point.
And they did it really well. I think this is my favourite coverage that I've seen. And then they had their own take on the Jack Rewalt. What's it called? The Jack Rewalt fucking cranberry juice shit.
What? I may have missed what you're talking about here.
So they had their own take on the Jack Rewalt, like in the golf cart thing. They did it with Munster.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Cameron Munster. Yeah, it's pretty funny. He's like, I don't know what he's doing. He's got a beer instead of a he's got a bit of champagne, and then he crashes his skateboard. It's pretty funny.
as in they purposely did it to replicate Richmond, or was it
I think he was just trying to do it, but it just came off really well.
All right then, Jules, let's carry on to live tweeting. We've talked about this a bit. I've
got to get comfortable for this one.
That's fine. It's come up a bit on Phoenix Suns, Miami Marlins, but that was mainly on the personality. So we saw, of the grand final, we saw two different tweeting styles of Storm versus Richmond. Firstly, I want this to be a conversation. I don't want to be complaining about the Tigers and come across like an average human. But so my main point of this is I want to see a death to word tweets. Do live tweeting. While I was watching...
A death to word
tweets. Because I'm confused with these big... It'd be different if you're tweeting for a Division 2 lacrosse team. You probably want to update what's happening in the game. No offense to lacrosse.
Where did you get Division 2 lacrosse team from?
Just giving you an example. But with one of the biggest teams in both sports, with AFL and NRL, I'm not sure, and I could be wrong, but is the purpose to let them know what's happening? Because my answer is I don't think so. I think the purpose should be to give them an insight that you don't really see on the broadcast or whatever else. So this was sparked by me diving into a little bit deeper. From tip-off to the final siren of both games, I had a look at the amount of tweets and how many word tweets. And obviously, just to confirm the obvious, word tweets meaning there's nothing in the tweet but words. Pretty self-explanatory, but I thought I'd say it anyway.
Oh, I thought you meant that they'd written them in Microsoft Word.
Okay, shut up, Jules. That's actually pretty funny for you. So, from tip-off to final siren, Richmond tweeted 26 times. 20 of them were word tweets. Now, Storm tweeted...
This is a deep analysis. Sorry to interrupt you. Have you got a table or a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
How are you keeping track of this?
I've ruined my spare room with a massive printout poster. Anyway, so Richmond, 26 tweets, 20 word tweets. Storm, 16 tweets, 3 word tweets. And you can guess which one I preferred and what I love, but I don't know. I don't think it's worth over tweeting. We touched on it before from Storm. They do it perfectly. I think they did it really well. I think your audience is probably already watching your team play, so they probably don't need to know exactly what's going on. Do you agree with me so far, or am I being overly critical?
I think I agree with you, because I always view it as like people are watching the footy or the grand final or whatever, and they've just got their phone in their hand. They know the score. They know what's going on.
They're watching the game.
Yeah. They need some sort of insight that's that they're not getting on the screen, or they need some sort of engagement that's not getting on the screen. I don't necessarily think that like word tweets are dead. I think that's an overgeneralization, and I think people still go to social media for updates. Like, I know myself, I check Instagram stories when I want to know the score quickly if I don't have that particular app, or like I can't be fucked opening up the app because I'm already in Instagram. That's the other thing. Like, if people are already on Twitter, like, it doesn't hurt to give them a score update rather than having to go somewhere else and then come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one because I would be interested to know how many people go to Twitter to follow. I'm not talking quarter time, half time. I'm talking progress scores.
Progress.
Yeah.
But they might just be sitting on Twitter, like, reading other stuff about the game, you know? Like, they're not necessarily waiting for a team to post the scores, but they might just be on there, like, following the hashtag from a match or seeing what other people are saying. Like, for example, the NRL Grand Final, everyone was going off about that, the commentator from the game.
Yeah.
And I know I jumped on and was like, what are other people saying about this? And through that, maybe they see something from Melbourne Storm that is like, hey, Phil Gould, eh?
Yeah.
Old mate's pretty shit up there, eh?
I get people would probably be scrolling regardless, but my point is more they're probably watching or listening to the game. So it's probably just one of who are we tweeting for. I think that's why I brought in Division 2 lacrosse, because if you're following like a less popular sport and you're not the Richmond Football Club or the Melbourne Storm, then you probably don't need to. But I don't want it to be like I'm bagging Richmond. This is a very general thing for what I think happens a lot in Australian sport. It's a bit of an area that I follow a lot of Australian sport, and the tweeting just seems too generic. Like, I want to see someone do something, and I loved what Storm did because they had 3-word tweets and it was all reactions. I think.
I think you're right. Like, if you're gonna tweet something, it's got to have purpose. You don't need to give a rolling update of the game. I think you can do something like really cheeky and really fun and like have a cool graphic and whatever, and still have some sort of information go up with it. So, for example, if Dusty had kicked a really cool snap and you found this cool GIF of Dusty kicking, or like they'd pre-organised stuff like Melbourne Storm did with their try graphics, then you also give a small update after that. You have your personality that's like, fuck, no way, what a snap. And then it's just like score down the bottom so people aren't lost. I think it needs to be a balance of both. I used to be like one way completely, just entertainment, but I also see the purpose of information.
All right, so yeah, let's just make sure. That's just my opinion. But hey, let's hear what other people think about tweeting, Jules. Do we like how games are tweeted, or do you have? How would you tweet the game? That's something we should put it out.
Yeah, what would you do differently? Would you go more down the path of the Phoenix Suns or like the Miami Marlins that we saw, or would you toe the line of caution and probably play it safe on Twitter?
Be risky.
Let us know.
Be risky, people.
Wow. Dangerous, Barker.
All right.
One more thing to wrap this up. Sorry, I just want to say congratulations to all the digital teams involved in the grand finals this year, and wider, like just every competition that went on in a hub. Because fuck, it was a difficult year, like for everything. I think we can sit here and easily like pull apart stuff, but everyone was just doing an amazing job with like limited resources. So. Of the teams that we spoke of today, like Richmond, Geelong, Melbourne, Vixens and Melbourne Storm, well done on keeping us entertained while we're in lockdown. Nah, fuck the Panthers. I don't give a shit about them.
All right, well.
Melbourne.
And the Panthers, even if Jules might not say so. But no, I agree.